All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. Happy Saturday. Nick Marro here with DFS Jayhawk, as always, to help you break down tonight's NBA DFS main slate on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Yeah, 7 gamer on DK. I think FanDuel has two more games. They go really late tonight. So we got plenty to talk about, Jayhawk. But what's your initial take on this slate?
Yeah, man. Fun running the back here with you once again. Interesting slate tonight. Obviously, last night, if you were in Discord, Detroit ended up ruling Kate out late. Hopefully, we don't get anything too crazy like that today. But excited to break this down. It should be a fun one here.
Yeah, man, for sure. Last night, I think we nailed a lot of the good value. It was some of the studs, Embiid, Wemby, a few guys who didn't quite get there, but hopefully we run a little bit better tonight. But yeah, let's get right into it here. First game on the slate, very important one in my opinion. We got the Hawks taking on the Wizards. Yeah, 237.5 point total. Wizards played pretty impressively last night as massive underdogs. They are underdogs again here, but relatively close spread. On the Atlanta side of things, Trae Young is going to be probable. Terrence Mann, who they traded for, is available and with the team. No Jalen Johnson or Bones Highland, and Gouye went back down to the G League. So Atlanta, it is a back to back for them, I believe, but they're mostly healthy. They are getting Capella back. Karis LeVert, our sworn enemy, is available. Not that we're going to be playing him here. As far as Hawks go, I mean, Trey and Daniels both look good. Daniels definitely started slow last night. He's still, I think, finished all right. But regardless, really, it's just the backcourt, then maybe a little bit of a Kongu on DK. As much as I want to get to this team, they're getting so many bodies back that it's kind of tough to do. So I like Trey, I like Daniels, like a Kongu. That's mostly it for me. How about you, Jayhawk?
Yep, pretty much on the same page here. I think Trey looks good. I liked him more last night. I think this matchup against Koulibaly might be a little bit of a tougher one here. But yeah, I think Dyson and Okongwu both look good as well. I was getting a decent amount of Okongwu just because, good matchup, fills a center spot. But yeah, I prefer Dyson and Okongwu tonight, I think. But yeah, I think all three of those guys look fun in GPPs.
Yeah, man. Totally with you. On the other side of things, though, we have the Wizards. Did just get some news. Kaishan George is going to be out for them. No Anthony Gill. Alex Len is out, as is Sadiq Bey. Still no Chris Middleton or Marcus Smart. Alex Sarr is out as well. So Washington, one of the thinner teams on the slate, and it seems like they could actually be somewhat competitive in certain matchups. Again, I don't want to count on them too often, but there's a reason they're the most popular team on the slate tonight. Jordan Poole coming off an absolutely ridiculous game. I know he's going to see some Dyson Daniels. I'm not afraid of it. I think he's one of the better plays on the slate. Going to continue to see increased usage with Kuzma no longer part of this team. Bilal Koulibaly, not always super involved on offense, but he's too cheap now. Before the Kuzma deal, he was starting to turn a corner, but it took him a while to get going with Kuzma on the floor. But again, another guy who's going to benefit massively with some of these other guys no longer with the team. Holmes probably going to start again here at center. I think he's one of the better value centers. Fine getting to sub Bub Carrington. There is a little bit of a shakeup here tonight, though. Justin Champagnie is back and available. He's going to be in the rotation. I'm thinking we see Kispert start, but it is also notable that Malcolm Brogdon, who missed last game, is going to be available here as well. We have Brogdon for 20 minutes. I think that's a pretty fair cap. I don't really want to rush to get to him. But yeah, I'm fine mixing in guys like Kispert, Carrington, Champagnie, just knowing they're cheap. This game is a very high total. They're going to need to play minutes regardless of how this game plays out. Man, definitely a key to the slate here with Washington. How are you handling these Wizards?
Yeah, so Washington, I think, looks great here. Obviously, last night, Vegas projected blowout. They ended up nuking, and a lot of them were super chalk. Not as chalky as we expected, at least in terms of the model. But yeah, I think Jordan Poole, you mentioned it, tough matchup, but has so much usage here. I think he looks awesome in the mid tier. And then in terms of Koulibaly and Carrington, I think they did move Koulibaly to just shooting guard only on
Ew.
DraftKings.
Yeah.
Which is not great because we have a bunch of great guards, but he's firmly in play. He's going to chuck as well. I think he's a solid play. And then Carrington and Holmes. So Carrington did get a price bump, but I think he still looks pretty solid here. You mentioned Brogdon back. Could slightly cut into him, but I think he still looks pretty solid. And then Rashawn Holmes. I think he looks great. 4,700 here. Pretty good matchup. So totally fine. I like Rashawn Holmes a good chunk in this spot.
Yeah, man, definitely gonna have a home as excuse me, definitely going to have Holmes be a big part of my night, especially on DK where you could play two centers. I see you guys in chat. I'm gonna get to everyone. Going to go through another game at 7 o'clock though. We got these two paired up, so I think it makes sense. We get the Spurs taking on the Magic here. Just a 217 point total. San Antonio obviously pretty active at the trade deadline. They went ahead and got De'Aaron Fox. He's looked pretty good. Still kind of figuring out his role there though. As far as injuries go, Harrison Ingram, Charles Bassey, David Duke. Nothing really significant. Just a bunch of G Leaguers. What stands out to me more than anything for San Antonio is just the ownership. I mean, we see Sochan 4% owned on DK. Other than that, everyone is 1% or less. I'm not going to sit here and say that I really want to get to any of these guys. I mean, we have Jokic on the slate. There's a few other great payups. But 1% Wemby, whenever he's 1%, you should probably take note on FanDuel, especially where you can play him at power forward if you do want to use something like a Holmes for a value center. And then Fox, I know he's better on DK, but he's flashed the upside. These are two guys I don't mind getting to. Steven Castle, massive, massive game last night off the bench. I don't think we can necessarily chase that, especially in a matchup like this. But yeah, I'm fine mixing Wemby and Fox in a tournament. That's pretty much it for me, though, on San Antonio. Jayhawk, how about you?
Yeah, just you mentioned a very tough spot here for San Antonio. 217 total. Wemby, he looks okay. I think I obviously prefer getting to other studs
Yeah.
tonight, but yeah, 1% on, man. I mean, I think we always have to take a stab here at 1%. We did just see Jokic have a pretty good game against Orlando, obviously a couple games ago or 2 games ago. So the ceiling is there. So at 1%, I don't hate it. And then yeah, Sohin 4,600. I think he's fine, but Wemby's kind of the main guy I want to target here. I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. And again, I'm only playing a handful of lineups tonight. I think I have three or four single entry. I don't know that I even get to anything from this game as being fully transparent. If I were
Yeah.
150 maxing though, I think I'd have 5 to 10% Wemby. Very easy to get over the field. On the Orlando side of things, Jalen Suggs is out. Other than that, nothing too significant. Mo Wagner's still out as well. Boncharo's minutes have been climbing. Franz Wagner no longer seems to have any sort of minutes cap. And Cole Anthony and Anthony Black should both see a little bit of a boost here with Suggs out. I'm not really rushing to anything. I do like Franz and Bencharo enough that I could be fine playing them. I actually prefer Franz, I think, just because he's been a bit more consistent lately, but the model does prefer Banchero, so I think you could go either way. Don't think I'd want them both in the same lineup, especially given the low total here. But those two wings are appealing to me. That's pretty much it for me as far as Orlando goes. How about you?
Yep. I think you nailed it here. Paulo and Franz, main targets here for me. I think they're both solid. The way I kind of classify is I think Banchero probably the higher ceiling, Franz the safer floor. I think they're both fine to get to. I don't have like a huge stand. And then the rest of the team here for Orlando is just I don't love, Goga and Wendell Carter in a tough spot against 1B. So yeah, it's mainly just the studs here for Orlando.
Yeah, man, I'm totally with you. Seeing some good questions coming, guys. I think let's get to them quickly. I did want to go one more game, but just shouts out Zevon, Unicorn, Courtney, just pulling you guys all up here. Appreciate you tuning in on a Saturday. Jose here saying, Nick, who's your favorite center? I know that's a typo. I'll say Janik, the tennis player. Who's our favorite center, though? I think I like Holmes for cheap. He looks excellent. Jokic looks really good here. Nas Reed, if you consider him a center on both sides, someone I'm going to be building my night around. And then Cat might be out. If he's out, I think we have to look to Precious. We're both technically named Nick Jayhawk. Do you want to just give a quick rundown of your favorite centers?
Yeah, I love all those calls. I would add a Onyeka Okongwu. I
Nice.
think he makes a really good play.
Nice. Love it. Heath here as well. What's up, fellas? One lock button play on DK Scott. Kind of depends on some of this news we're waiting on. I think right now, man, I don't want to say Jordan Poole's a lock. That's terrifying. Nas Reed
Yeah.
for me. I think 6,700 is just too cheap for him. Poole would probably be second in line. Jayhawk, is there anyone you're using the L word for? Valentine's Day coming up. Obviously, a different L word in DFS.
Yeah, so the L word here is definitely a risky one to throw around, but I think, man, probably someone from Washington. I'm gonna say a safe answer. I'm gonna say Jordan Poole, but I will
Nice.
say we'll get to this game, but I do love Steph Curry tonight in this spot, so we'll get to him later. Though.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Jimmy is going to be available, interestingly enough. Late downgraded cat and OG out again. Power, always appreciate you in here with the news and the puns. But yeah, we're going to talk about the Knicks in a bit. That's a huge one now, especially if Cat's out. Russell, real quick for you, best value on FanDuel. This will change as more news comes out. Rashawn Holmes right now rating is the best, followed by Corey Kispert, assuming Kispert starts. And again, we have those late games over on FanDuel. Keegan Murray, Eves Missy both popping up as well. And then, yeah, power lock for me is Justin Champagny with Kaishan out. I do think we see Kispert start over Champagny. It wouldn't surprise me if they went the other way. But I'm actually with you, though. I think point per dollar Champagny might be the better play because he's kind of that hybrid. He got rest last night. He should be good to go here for as many minutes as he can handle. But let's go ahead and get into the next games here. We got an 8 o'clock window. Let's check the order of the NBA injury report. Okay, we get the Warriors and the Bulls. So, Jayhawk, I know you're talking about Curry. We'll go right into these Warriors here. We got Kaminga out. Moody is probable. Guy Santos is questionable. And what do you know? Jimmy Butler is back on a basketball court and available here.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll let you start this one off. How are you going to handle these Warriors? Sounds like you're really bullish on Curry.
Yeah, so it's pretty much has been a constant theme: attack Chicago, and once again here, love Golden State all around. Just Anthony Edwards was in the same spot a couple of games ago. He had like a huge game. I think Steph Curry can light it up here, so I'm getting to a bunch of Steph here on both sides, and then Draymond Green. I think he's solid as well. I don't know if I love the ownership, but good price, good game environment. So I think he's firmly in play. And then it's interesting. I want to hear your take on Healed and Pods because they were super chalk. The last slate they were on. Prices have came up, but I think they're still solid. So, what's your take here on Golden State with these other guys as well?
Honestly, with the prices up on Healed and Pods, I'm kind of off them now. We're getting Moody back and Butler's back now. I don't think Butler's going to play his full run of minutes. We have him for 31, but he's really going to kind of cut into those other guys, especially if he actually cares about basketball again. But I'm with you, man. I do like Curry a lot. Like I said, I'm not crazy about Healed. Draymond feels too cheap. The front court's interesting. Quentin Post probably going to get the start again. I actually think Kevon Looney is probably my favorite value play from Golden State. Taking to the Bulls and Vucevic, Looney's defense probably going to be more needed than usual here. We've seen Looney getting more minutes than Post these last few games in certain matchups against Utah, who has Kessler, Orlando, who obviously has a pretty solid front court, getting over 20 minutes. I think we're going to see 20 plus minutes again for Looney. We only have him for 16.7. He's still a decent value score in the model, but I think if that gets up to 20, we'd see him kind of catapulted up this list. So don't think he starts, but I do like Looney over Post. Not going to get to the cheap guards, but I'm with you on Steph. Probably not going to play Jimmy. Dre does feel cheap as kind of like that last piece in. Don't know that he has massive upside, but great matchup here with the Bulls, just like you said. Um, all right, let's talk about the Bulls now. Over here, we got Lonzo questionable, hungover. Apparently, I don't know what's going on with that. A bunch of Twitter narrative today. Horton Tucker is questionable, and Dalen Terry is questionable. Sonogo's out. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Lonzo celebrating his contract extension, allegedly. Or that his brother got the Little Wayne feature. Regardless, we got Vooch here looking good, in my opinion. Too cheap for what he's been able to do with Zach LaVine out of the lineup. I know if you look at the game logs, it's not all that impressive, but this is the type of matchup I do think he should be able to thrive in. Miami and Minnesota, two of the tougher matchups for opposing centers. We go back to Detroit or Toronto, soft on defense. He's crushing value at this price. So Vooch, to me, if you're not getting up to the jokers in the world, one of my favorite centers. Jose, that's a callback. I forgot to mention him earlier. But yeah, Giddy looks good. Kobe looks good. Ayo looks good. If we get Buzelis continuing to start, and I imagine we will, they need his offense now that Levine's gone more than they need Williams on the floor. I'm fine getting to Buzelis' value as well. And if Ball's out, I'll feel better about the other guards. But if Ball's in, he's okay. He's kind of that last piece in. We're about to talk about Mike Conley, who I think is a very similar play. It's like neither of these guys have a ton of upside because their minutes are somewhat capped. But if you need them as like a last piece in to fit an extra stud or something like that, I'm fine with it. So for me, core play here, if there is one, it's probably Vooch. I do like Buzelis as kind of sneaky value on DK, assuming he starts again. But the guard situation, kind of waiting on the Lonzo news. I think either way, you're going to want some exposure here. Jayhawk, how are you going to handle Chicago?
Yeah, so you mentioned it. I literally was just about to say Vucevic on the same page here. Historically, he's been super good against Golden State. I think he had a subpar the last time they played this year, but without Levine here, I think he should crush in this matchup. 8K. I think he's firmly in play in the mid tier. And then you mentioned it. Lonzo's questionable. I think Kobe White already makes for a solid play. I think you just bump him a little bit more if Lonzo sits, and then yeah, Matas once again. I do like him when he's not super chalk. So 4,600. Like him in tournaments at his ownership. And then I wanted to hear your take on AO 5,500, 5,800. Probably gets a bump with that Lonzo, but were you getting to any AO tonight?
Yeah, I definitely trust him more if Lonzo's out. The issue with that is that the ownership's going to come up. But yeah, man, it's
Yeah.
been interesting. Of those guards, like Giddy included, I think he's the least consistent, but he continues to be the cheapest. Similar upside. I think he's a good tournament play. Probably wouldn't use him in cash again unless Lonzo's out. Even then, it doesn't feel great. Just kind of
Yeah.
priced in the middle there, but he's fine. It's just the shooting's so inconsistent with him, and it's not even that he's always missing shots. It's like he's not always taking them. So tricky guy to kind of get right, but definitely going to continue to see a little bit of extra usage with no Levine.
Yeah, man. AO just has a sweet spot in my heart after
I
shipping me
know.
earlier today. So I always have to ask about him because I'm like, do you like him tonight?
Hey, man. I mean, we get our guys, and in the same way we get biased against certain players, sometimes we fall in love with
Uh,
them. I mean, I'm certainly guilty of it on both ends. But yeah, AO, I think he's fine where he's
yeah.
priced. Another game at 8 o'clock here. Very high total, 243 points. Also a very tight spread. We got the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. OKC, Chet is back, but not tonight. He's going to rest after playing. No Case and Wallace, obviously no topic. Ajay Mitchell. Osmuni Jang, if you want to consider him relevance out. Lou Dort, questionable as well. Shea, to me, is great tonight, especially if you can't find the salary to get to Jokic. Kind of shocked that he's not more popular. 7% on DK, 5K on FanDuel. I know the price has come up on him, but it should have. And with Chet back off the floor, I think maybe people are kind of forgetting that he cut into his usage last night. Maybe he's not going to here. Jalen Williams as well, just really good play here. Great matchup in terms of pace and total. Hartenstein looks fine. I think all three of these guys look excellent. Then the really interesting part comes if Dort is out. If he's out, I do like Wiggins a lot. I think even if Dort's in, you could get to Aaron Wiggins and feel okay about it. But I don't think he's going to be popular either way. Only 7% owned right now. Some sites are projecting him to start, others aren't. But I do think he's going overlooked. Caruso never really gets there in terms of minutes. Isaiah Joe, I guess you could mix in maybe if Dort's out. But really, for me, man, I'm shocked by the SGA ownership. Williams, I think, is under owned as well. And I definitely want to get to some Wiggins if Dort's out. How are you going to handle OKC here in a great spot?
Yeah, so it's kind of weird because OKC, you mentioned they're in a great spot here. I don't really have like huge strong stands here. I think probably my favorite would probably be SGA at his ownership, 7%. Just another spend up that's probably under owned, 243 total, good matchup. So fine with SGA if you want to get like different, like you mentioned. And then I think both Hardenstein and J Dub both are fine. I wasn't getting to a ton of Hardenstein. I think it's just because getting to a bunch of other centers. So I think he's fine, but yeah, it's a good matchup for all these guys. It's tough for me to pick these guys out. I guess so far.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I know we don't like to dig too deep into these matchups. We say they don't matter much, but the last time SGA played Memphis, 28 minutes, he had 66 or 63 DK points, 66 over on FanDuel. Just ridiculous. I think that game was a blowout, so if he got his full run, who knows what the numbers look like there. Again, don't look into one game samples. It's stupid, but I will make a case for SGA, and I'll pull out some numbers to do it when he's going to be this low owned as a tournament play. I do like him a lot. Over on the Memphis side of things, again, this game does project to be pretty competitive. Marvin Bagley, who they traded for, is not yet available. Desmond Bain, questionable. Zach Edey is available. So Bain's really the question mark here. Obviously, if he's in, he's okay. If he's out, it's definitely going to provide a boost and upside to the likes of Jackson and Morant. As high as the total is, this is not a good matchup. We always talk about it though. OKC, as good as they are defensively, they do play really fast. It kind of gives opposing teams a few extra possessions, a game. So I don't mind mixing them in at very, very low ownership. It's just I can't sit here and say one play is outstanding. But yeah, you can make a case for Bain, Morant, Jackson and Morant especially. especially if Bane's out. Those are really the only three I have a lot of interest in. If Bane's out, though, maybe we get the start from Kennard. He's cheap enough that you can mix him in. I usually don't like to play him with Morant in, but he's shown that he can still put up okay numbers next to Ja. Again, this is more of like a super large field thing. And then one really sneaky play. I don't know if it's smart, but I've had my eye on GG Jackson all season, one of my favorite young players. It seems like he's finally getting consistent minutes. Yeah, I think, let's see here. 3 games in a row, playing 17 plus, back to back games over 20 minutes. If no one wants to play him, he's cheap enough, especially on DK, that I'm fine getting to him, especially considering he's small forward and power forward eligible. So GG, one of my sneaky tournament plays tonight, but I do think the big three look good for Memphis here. How are you going to handle the Grizzlies?
Yeah, so the Grizzlies here, man, it's to be honest with you, it's a tough spot here. Still high total, but with Bane, projected in on the model, these guys just like they all look fine. If Bane would sit, I guess my favorite would be Luke Kennard. He's pulling the most ownership on this team, but just nothing really stands out to me heavily here. Tough matchup, so pretty easy breakdown for me. Bump to Jaren, a slight bump to Jaren and Jaw. You mentioned it, but it Bane sits. But I don't love Memphis here overall.
Yeah. Do you want to talk me off this GG Jackson ledge, or should I take the plunge, you think?
Oh, I love GG Jackson as a player. So 3,700. He could play like I know this game's gonna be close, but he probably gets blowout run too. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, 2 games with 20 minutes in a row. I'm praying that he's kind of leaped over Aldama and Clark on this depth chart. We'll see. But yeah, again, playing 3 or 4 lineups tonight. He's gonna maybe not be my highest dollar, but maybe like the second tier, like the $12 or $20 single entry, whatever I reserved. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, let's keep moving. I will get to chat in just a minute, but let's get into the Celtics and Knicks here. Or actually, let's do chat first because we are waiting on some news on the off chance maybe we do get that cat news in the next few minutes. Lock for me. Da, 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 da. So yeah, Jamie Butler, Lafayette, Jimmy Butler. Okay. I don't mind. Pretty good one in power. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. And guys, just joined us here because you guys love it, Jerry. I think I've seen you in Discord, but yeah, definitely appreciate you jumping in with the gang here. Dak Prescott's always hurt. AD always hurt. Yeah, Dallas struggling, man. I don't know. Hate to see it. Bob Boy's here saying, let's go. Don't mess with Portland. They are 10-2 the last 12, and Conley are questionable too. Power, I agree, except for Naz Reid. I just think the price is wrong on DK. Like, he's going to continue to put up big numbers with the extra minutes and usage. I am a Naz Reid stan. Until he's like, I don't know, pushing 8K, I'll probably keep playing him. Celtics and Knicks here. Start on the Celtics side. I think they're a little bit easier to talk about. Drew Holiday's out. Drew Peterson is back with the G League. They went and got Torrey Craig, which is kind of a good move to get an extra defensive wing. He's not available. But yeah, pretty healthy team here. I always talk about I'm fine playing Pritchard whenever one of the starters out. We are getting that here. Don't think Pritchard starts. It's probably going to be Horford, but I do not mind using him as a guard for kind of mid-range value. Horford's dirt cheap. He's probably going to start. I do not hate him as a play. I do not like the 21% ownership though over on DK. Going to try to go elsewhere. Cough cough. GG Jackson, probably my favorite pivot. But yeah, I mean, you can make a case for Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, White for sure. It's just always the same issue with Boston. Who's it going to be tonight? In a matchup like this, I'll say if Cat's out, maybe get some KP in your lives. Obviously, returning to the Garden, a little bit of narrative there. If Cat's in, I do think I'd like Jaylen Brown point per dollar. Tatum just hasn't really been getting there much lately. Derek White looks fine at his price as well. But 231 point total, a little bit higher than maybe one would expect. Kind of maybe hints that Cat might not be available. But yeah, I do like some Boston here. But shocker, it's probably going to be Pritchard off the bench for me here more than anything else. How are you handling the Celtics there, Jayhawk?
Yeah, so Boston here, definitely interesting spot. You mentioned it. I think Kristaps, he has a good price here. Would look a ton better if Cat sits here. So I
Yeah.
think out of all these guys, probably my favorite out is ownership. And then Al Horford, I think he's just fine, man. 21% ownership. If I get to like 20% or 1/5 in my lineups, I think it's fine. I don't have like a huge stand. I think he looks just fine. And then love the Pritchard call. Did see a slight price bump here to
Yeah.
5,500, but I still think he looks great. He should play regardless of what happens in this game as well. So yeah, love that Pritchard child, and then gonna have probably a decent chunk of Kristaps in tournaments.
Nice, man. Yeah, again, Boston, all the stars look pretty good. Not crazy about maybe Hauser off the bench, or I don't know, Horford at the ownership, but he's going to get minutes for sure. Over on the Knicks side of things, like we said, still waiting on some news. Pretty damn important too. What we do already know though is that OG Anunoby is going to be out. Josh Hart is probable, and again, we're waiting on Karl Anthony Towns. So if we assume Cat is in, I think he's fine. I think he's under own. If he's out, Jalen Brunson's going to look good. He already looks pretty solid. Josh Hart as well, probably a little bit too cheap for what his upside would become. And then Precious Achua. I mean, the price has gone up, but if Cat's out, we already have OG out. Like you could make a case for Precious as is with Cat in. So the Knicks look good here, but they might look great if we get this Cat news to kind of fall the way we want it to, and he's not available. Probably don't get this till after log. Something we definitely have to keep an eye on. I don't know, man. It's a late downgrade. Usually, I think Cat's the type to play, but never a good sign when we get that downgrade late in the day. Do you have a hunch on Cat, and then how are you handling this team?
Yeah, so I think Cat, to answer that, I think he probably, well, I'm leaning he sits here. Late day downgrade typically means they don't play, like you mentioned. So assuming does sit here, you mentioned, I think Brunson would probably be my favorite here, actually. 8,600. I think he could be the guy here that, puts the team on his back against Boston here. So would love Brunson in tournaments. And then I think Precious is still fine. 5,700 would look better, but I just don't love that price point. But
Mhm.
he's been pretty solid. Tougher matchup, but man, Brunson I think would look great. And then even Josh Hart, man, 7,800. They're probably going to need Brunson and Hart a ton, assuming Cat's out. So probably get to a bunch of those too as well.
Yeah, Hart. I mean, he's put up a few triple doubles this season when there's other starters out. And it's a tough matchup, but he has that in his bag. So definitely wouldn't argue with getting to him. But again, we'll keep an eye on that news. If it does come out, we'll definitely revisit the Knicks and kind of break it down as we need to. This is the last game on the DK slate here. We got the Nuggets taking on the Suns. Nice, healthy 237 point total here, relatively close spread as well. Starting on the Nuggets side of things, Aaron Gordon's probable. Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are both questionable. Still no Russ Westbrook or Peyton Watson or Vlado Kankar. But yeah, so if Porter and Murray are in, Porter has been on absolute fire. This guy's playing the best basketball, I think, of his entire career over the past week. Can he keep it up? I'm not sure. It's a pretty good matchup for it, though. I do like Michael Porter Jr., on both sides if he's in. If he's out and Murray's in, again, we got to do some if thens here. But Christian Braun would see a nice boost. Aaron Gordon, I already think is too cheap on DK, kind of a core play for me, even if this team is healthy. So if one of these guys are out, I'm going to have even more Aaron Gordon. I think Christian Braun's price has gone up to the point that the field is a little bit kind of dealing with the sticker shock. But if, again, one of these guys are out, he's going to look outstanding. I do want to say this. Murray's missed some time. We've seen Strother slide in and start. He really hasn't been getting there as value. Like we're always scrambling, like, oh, nice, Strother's going to start, no Murray, and it's kind of been blowing up in our face. So more than anything, I think I just want to get to Brown, Porter, oh yeah, and Nikola Jokic too. Plenty anywhere you can afford him. Under-owned in my opinion. The issue is just the price, pushing 13K on both sites. And I said it earlier, but Aaron Gordon as well. I think he's viable on both sites. But yeah, I'd say proceed with caution on Strother. We know he's capable of upside if Murray's out, but he just hasn't really looked the part in my opinion. Love Brown though, regardless. Love Gordon regardless, and Jokic. And then if Porter's in, I think he's great. Probably don't get much Murray either way. Not a terrible tournament play, but we get a lot of guards to like. So how are you handling the Nuggets here, man? I think there's a lot we can like.
Yeah, so I think this is like the closest thing we've had to like since last night for like late news or like really late news. I think Jamal and MPJ, huge news. Already a 238 total here. Uh all these guys look great. So starting with Aaron Gordon, either way, you mentioned that I think he's gonna look awesome. 4,800, good matchup. Love AG both sides. Better on DraftKings, I think. And then you called it MPJ, man. I've been watching the games. He's been on a tear, man, just knocking down almost every three he's attempted pretty much. He would look awesome if he plays here. And then Christian Brown, I don't love the price point now. 6K flat. Don't love the price point, but he would get a bump as well without Jamal and or Porter. And then, man, Jokic, almost 13K, man. But we have to remember the last game, Jokic almost still hit value through three quarters. So if two of
Yeah.
these guys are out, he's still like he may end up getting there easily. So we have to like Jokic here in tournaments. So yeah, I think the only guy I'm not getting to is Jamal, like you mentioned, but the rest of the starters here I think look great.
Nice, man. Good to hear we're on the same page with this team. I do think I like Brown a little bit more than you, which is hilarious because you were the Christian Brown guy before anyone else. But it is what it is, man. Again, I would definitely prefer one of these other starters to be out the beginning to him aggressively. Suns here, man. I think our own Chuck, maybe Smitty was with him, were in attendance last night. That ridiculous Grayson Allen game. He sent it to OT and then went off in overtime, and the Suns came back from a big deficit. Really, really fun game to watch. I did tune into that one. But tonight, coming off that, we have Allen and Beal both questionable. Kevin Durant questionable as well. They have the trade pending for Mitchich, Cody Martin. I don't know if they're going to be with the team or not, but definitely something to keep an eye on. This is one of the tougher teams to talk about. I think if any of these guys are out, we're going to be able to like Booker a little bit more. Kind of shocked he's not more popular. I guess it's because people maybe pivot there later. But if Durant's out, we're going to want Booker. If Beal's out, probably helps Booker. Um, and yeah, if Durant's in, I'm fine getting to him. But lately, we've seen more of that upside from Devin Booker. So yeah, Sun's kind of difficult. I don't know, man. It's like so many secondary pieces. I don't want to sit here and say there's a ton I'll be getting to. I will say if you're building with Suns, it makes it easier to kind of pivot with some of this Denver stuff we're waiting on. Again, this is the last game on DK. And Cal, we do have the question from you here. Will we be going over the later games on FanDuel? Yes, we will. We got time today, so we will be hitting those for sure. But yeah, man, Suns, I like Booker no matter what, I think, at this ownership. I just think he's under owned. We have him for 40 minutes. And Tibbs is not his coach, but he's still been getting there. Not much else for me right now from Phoenix. How about you?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Devin Booker, when I opened up the slate last night, I was kind of hoping one of KD or Beal would be out because this spot for Booker is super good. Um, Projected for 40 minutes here, man. Good matchup. Should be able to shoot the ball well here. So love, love, love Booker in tournaments. Then after that, not getting to too much. Just really hoping one of KD or Beal sits here.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Royce O'Neal did have a great game against his former team last night. Maybe if we get Allen out or Beal and Durant are out, something like that. If you're looking for value, I don't mind Royce. I think he would slide in the starting lineup. Even if he doesn't, I mean, he's got upside at his price. So just one more shout on him. Let me check out chat and then we'll get into these FanDuel games. Courtney's saying JJJ slate breaker. If Bane's out, man, I could definitely see it. Boston just lost to Kyrie, Clay Gafford, and Exum. Yeah, man, their strategy of just taking 1,000 threes when they're cold, they don't look like a good team. They're going to probably have to shake things up a little bit. But again, it's the regular season. Who knows? Power's saying he likes Booker with a late Q on Grace and Allen and KD out with Ankle Friday. Yeah, we're right there with you, man. Makovich, New Orleans Unicorn. Use that, excuse me, as a segue into these late games here. Yeah, first game at 10 o'clock. We have the Pelicans taking on the Kings. No injury report out yet for the Kings with this game being so late in the day. But let's start over on the Pelican side. Yeah, so no Murray, obviously. They traded for Olenek. He's not with the team yet. No Herb Jones, Bruce Brown not with the team yet. And your boy, Carlo Makovich, dealing with an illness but already listed as available. They are going to have Zion here tonight. Um, I don't know. It's a little bit tricky. Missy looks good on paper. The model loves him, like more than I totally understand. I'd rather go down to Rashawn Holmes. I guess the appeal is that you could kind of use him as a spot to pivot if we do get some of this late news to break in a different way. But then, yeah, Makovich here, man, 4,600. I don't love the price increase. He's been getting there. He's probably going to start at the three again. I think I like it, and it scares me because this guy really wasn't on my radar until this week. Usually not a great sign, but yeah, even with low usage, back-to-back games where he's far exceeding value. Both those games coming against Denver, another decent game here with a relatively high total against the Kings. I'm fine getting to some Carlo, but yeah, as far as priorities go, it's always Trey Murphy for me this season. Going to continue to play him a bunch with Murray out. He continues to put up massive numbers. You could mix in Zion McCollum. Would love to hear of that Zion minutes limit getting lifted sooner rather than later. He's pushing value at his price, even only playing kind of 26 to 28 minutes. We have him for 30. I think that's a little aggressive, if we're being honest. So yeah, Murphy, my favorite Pelican. Don't mind Carlo. CJ's fine as well, but nothing here I'm really prioritizing. How about you, Jay Hawk?
Yeah, so New Orleans here on FanDuel, it's mainly just our guy, Trey Murphy here. Great price point. We both loved him the past few slates. He's nuked. Totally fine with him. And then after that, all these other guys look fine. You mentioned Zion and Makovich. I think they're both fine. But mainly it's just Trey Murphy for me. But not to cut you off, but we did get some slate breaking news with Minnesota, and I think we forgot to
Uh-oh.
cover that game also. Anthony
Yeah,
Edwards and Mike Conley are out.
yeah, I actually did it on purpose because I was
Oh,
hoping for
perfect.
this. Yeah, so let's go back to that one. I did it on purpose at the time, but I was going to go back before we went to the FanDuel games. So yeah, let's talk about the Kings, and then we'll go back to that game.
Okay, perfect.
Appreciate you helping me kind of produce here. Not used to these weekend shows. We get the Kings going. On the other side, obviously, they went and traded for Zach LaVine. Kind of messes things up in terms of usage. No injury report for them yet. I think we can assume they're healthy. Monk with the increased assist upside, he looks fine here. Always fine getting to a little bit of Sabonis. LaVine at his price is tempting. He's going to have to settle into this role. We know he has upside. We haven't really seen it with the Kings yet. It's there, though. But really, with this team getting LaVine into that rotation, Monk's really the one play I have any interest in. And even then, the price is up to a point now where I'm not crazy about it. But are you getting to any Sacramento?
Yeah, so Sacramento, I think I do like him more here than New Orleans overall. But yeah, Zach LaVine, pretty chalky on FanDuel. My one worry is his minutes. He hasn't. I think the last game, what he played, like 21 minutes, or maybe he got it ramped up,
Mm,
but he hasn't been playing like heavy minutes, which kind of scares me. Or has he? I don't know. I need to double check
Levine?
that. But yeah,
He's back up. He played
oh, he's not
36.
that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think he looks fine. And then you mentioned Monk. I think it's a decent spot. If I was playing on FanDuel, I'd probably just mix these guys around. I don't think there's any of them that are like, must plays at their prices, but that's kind of my take there.
Yeah, that's my take as well. I do want to mention this. I'm not crazy about him, honestly, as a play, but the model loves Keegan Murray here. 16 value rating on FanDuel, kind of insane. We have him for 35 minutes. You need the threes to fall, but if they do, super low owned tournament play. We get the late game, the Jazz and the Clippers, but before we do that, let's go back to Minnesota and Portland. And I swear this was partially on purpose. But we got the Blazers
I'm
side of things here first. Um, Let's go up, up, up. Okay, we got Denny questionable, Scoot questionable, still no Thibault. So if Denny's in, I think he's fine. Hasn't really been hitting the ceiling as often lately. Certainly capable of getting there. Tumani Kamara, I know I'm a broken record. Like him better now that he's a shooting guard, but at the same time, yeah, overpriced on DK now to the point where I don't really want to get to him. I don't love the spot for Aiton, Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons. I mean, you can make a case for these guys, but nothing for me from Portland right now. And I don't know. I don't really know that there's a scenario where I feel all too bad about it. I don't really know if there's any player on this team that's going to kill you if you don't have him. Are you getting into any of these Trailblazers tonight?
I'm not. No, I'm just crossing them out pretty much.
Nice, dude. Okay, so let's not waste time on this side. On the other side, let me refresh the model. I don't know if this is going to get picked up, but Conley and Edwards are both out. Um, Okay, yeah, they're still in right now. I already said how much I love Nas Reed. Still do. I think his usage is only going to go up here. This is a guy you can handle the ball pretty well for a big, and could hurt Gobert a little bit without Conley or Edwards there to kind of help facilitate on offense. But we're probably going to see Alexander Walker slide into the starting lineup alongside Robert Dillingham. Both these guys look good to me. I think Dill may have the higher floor and Walker is the higher ceiling. Actually, let me take that back. I think either way, Walker is the better play. Dillingham, cheap enough though, if you can't quite find the salary, or you could probably play both these guys, honestly, assuming we do get Dillingham over 25 minutes. Yeah, we have to like this backcourt. Jaden McDaniel is another guy who's going to start. Probably sees a little bit more usage, which does go a long way for him. Not always a guy who's super involved on offense, but more than anything, I was already getting to all the Nas Reed. I'll continue to. Want to see the starting lineup, but I think Alexander Walker, the model's probably going to love him. It often does. Right behind him will be Dillingham. I do prefer Na of the two. Curious your take though. How are you going to handle this Timberwolves backcourt as we wait on the model to update?
Yeah, so super interesting here with Naw and Dillingham, like you mentioned. My lean here when Anthony Edwards is out is I do lean Dillingham. I just think they
Mm,
need his scoring pretty heavily. Good price point too, but Naw is also really cheap, 4,400. I think they're both going to project pretty good here. I like them both a ton, and no Mike
yeah,
Conley just eliminates another guard here to have to worry about. And then, man, I'm right with you. Nas Reed, he will probably be, if not my top exposed, one of my top exposed. Plays on the day now. Looks awesome. Still too cheap. So Nas, Nickel, and Dillingham probably the guys here for me. Jaden McDaniels, I think you can mix them in, but I
Yeah.
don't I don't love the price here. What's your take on Jaden?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think he has enough of an upside to play him in tournaments, but it would take me a bunch of lineups to get there. Like I said, I'm playing a handful of single entry. Don't think he'll be involved. I do just want to name drop Jalen Clark at least once. He's definitely behind. If we're ranking these guards behind Nah and Dillingham for me, but Clark is someone who probably plays 20 minutes now. He's dirt cheap. If you're playing Showdown, you can probably play all three. If you want to come off of a popular Walker Dillingham, as we see these ownerships adjust, Clark is a decent pivot. I don't think he's as good as either, but he is a guard who's probably going to benefit here. All right, let's jump into the late game, and then if we have time, we'll do a quick dummy build. I know you're on double duty today. I'm pumped. I got a UFC card to go enjoy
Sure.
and wager on aggressively. But yeah, we got the Jazz taking on the Clippers here. 224 point total, starting on the Utah side of things. Again, they had that tremendous game last night against the Suns. Just scrolling down to see, yeah, their injury report is out. No John Collins, no Walker Kessler, no Laurie Markkinen, no Colin Sexton. KJ Martin not with the team yet. This team is very thin tonight. If you are playing on FanDuel, probably makes some sense to try to jam in some Utah. What do you know? Clarkson, one of the most popular plays on the slate. Assuming Kyle Filipowski gets a start, he looks good here as well. Isaiah Collier, Svi Mikhailuk, Keontae George, all of these guys look pretty good. Bryce Sensabaugh's price is down to a point now where I'm even fine getting to him. Again, no one is available today. Micah Potter, I never play. He's had a couple good games this season. He's the one I'm usually comfortable getting away from. But yeah, all of the starters and then George and Sensabaugh, I think makes some sense. If you're on DK, I think you need to play some Utah. Wide spread here, but a lot of these guys are young. I think especially Collier would be safe in a blowout. Probably Filipowski as well. If Filipowski starts at center, I like him even more than Rashawn Holmes. The issue is we're probably not going to know that anytime soon. So maybe just go with Holmes if you don't want to run that risk. But man, Utah, crazy spot here. Kind of glad they're not on the DK slate where I'm playing heavier tonight. But how would you be handling Utah over on FanDuel?
Yeah, so you mentioned it. Jordan Clarkson, definitely a core play on FanDuel. I think 5,900. All these guys are out here for Utah. So love Clarkson on FanDuel. And then the rest of Utah here, super interesting. Filipowski, Collier, Svi. I guess if I had to pick a second favorite here, probably would be Collier, just because I think he's been very good for this team in his minutes. So probably say Collier, but I think you just mix around these other guys on FanDuel. But definitely Clarkson, probably my favorite here.
Yeah, the Clarkson price is kind of crazy, especially with the extra minutes. We'll go really quick through the Clippers here. They're healthy tonight. Bogdan Bogdanovic is still conditioning to get ready to play with this team, which is funny because I don't think he had conditioning issues with Atlanta. So maybe just a higher standard there. But yeah, Kawhi minutes up to around 30 now. He looks good. Harden, Powell, Jones, Zoo. You can mix all of them in. Zubac at his price, kind of tough to get to here in a game with some blowout risk, but he might be playing against the power forward. So there is some upside still in low ownership. But Kawhi really the best play here, just point per dollar. What's your take on these Clippers? They are pretty healthy.
Yeah, it's mainly just Kawhi on FanDuel. Maybe you could look at Powell or Harden, but I prefer other forwards and guards. I think on the side.
Yeah, totally with you, man. So let's do a quick refresh of the model.
Let's do a
Trying to
dummy
see
real
if I.
quick, if that's
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
with
I
you.
do want to do a dummy real quick. Yeah, the projected lineups I'm seeing right now have Dillingham and Nas starting next to one another. I'm thinking
Perfect.
that's going to happen.
Love that.
Interestingly, Jalen Clark popping is the best guard value. This seems wrong. Um, hold on.
It's probably still working. Yeah.
I mean, I feel vindicated that I name dropped him, but yeah, it still doesn't have. What's going on here? Yeah, this is going to take a minute. This is like mid update, but okay. So let's assume they're both starting. Dillingham, nah. Are we playing both? You think?
I think at least one nickel probably will fit better because he's small forward eligible. So we can just
Yeah.
plug in nickel at least for now.
Yeah, and I want to do this. Call me nuts. I think we go Jordan Poole at
Yep.
point guard, Alexander Walker, and maybe we do use Dilly at guard, but just for the sake of this, let me get this started. We go Reed.
Yep. Yep. Love Nas.
Um, I think Aaron Gordon's in our lineup no matter what.
I like AG. I like that.
Feel free to just throw a name at me now. I'm going to start
Uh,
kind of digging
Steph
here.
Curry. Steph Curry. Spend it.
Okay. Okay. I mean, honestly, at the ownership, I mean, ugh, it's such a big difference. I love SGA, but Curry makes a lot more
Okay.
sense. I'm not gonna lie.
Enjoy
Did I
your
just click? I clicked the wrong guy. I clicked Fox. Definitely Curry over Fox. Okay, 6,200. We got small forward, forward utility. I mean, I don't know. Gordon went to center for some reason. I think we go Rashawn Holmes there, assuming he starts, right?
I like it. Yeah, he's good value.
Go Gordon at power forward. Okay, now we're around 7K for a small forward and the utility.
What if we
I,
what if we swapped nickel to small forward and went this might be too chalky. I was gonna say one of Koulibaly or Booker. Yeah, I like Booker too. That's actually
yeah, I
perfect.
just did that as a placeholder, but it might work. I mean, that would leave us with 46. I love Booker, and if
I love Booker. Yeah.
KD is out, it's going to look tremendous. But let's take a quick look here. Yeah, Buzelis, I'm a little bit afraid of now. We did just get word that Herter and Collins and Trey Jones are going to be available for the Bulls. So normally I was going to say Buzelis. Now I'm like, maybe not. But if we come off Booker for, say, Koulibaly, who I also really like, he's going to be on the floor a lot. We're left with 8,200. And that gives us, I love Jalen
Vooch?
Williams. I think that's, oh, Vooch, dude. Yeah, get that
Either
run
one.
back
Either
right
one.
there. Chef's kiss.
Either
That's a
one.
that's a beauty right there.
Love it.
So yeah, guys, you see where we're kind of starting tonight. Quick last look at chat. Um, yeah, Power loving the Makovich call. Edwards out. How many minutes do we have Levert playing? Not enough to matter. I'll say, Jose. We have him for 21. Um, Ball is out for Chicago. Like I said, though, they are getting those trade pieces in. Jacko bringing up Jalen Clark. I like him, man. I think he's a good pivot. Definitely need to kind of check in and see what that ownership looks like. Right now, the other guys aren't really reading as well as I'd expect them to. Collier, Filipowski for sure. Thuggan saying Holmes. T. Ed's on page with us, same place, Steph. So we're all synced up now. We're all on the same page.
Love
Let's absolutely crush tonight, fellas. Enjoy the Super Bowl tomorrow. I don't know that we're doing a live show. I think Jayhawk will be in Discord regardless, though the grind does not sleep. But good luck tonight, everyone. Let's absolutely crush it.
it. Good luck, guys. Let's go.